Welcome to Receiving from a Purchase Order. We'll be approaching this subject matter from the site view of the application, and based on that view, both site administrators and site users can receive from a purchase order. The only limitation could come in if your district chooses to limit permissions in this area. During our session, we'll not only do an overview of purchase orders, but we'll compare and contrast again the difference between internal purchases and district purchases. And lastly, we'll walk you step by step how to receive from a purchase order. Now I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started. Now that we're logged into the TIPWeb-IT application, we're ready to continue the process of receiving from a purchase order. As a reminder, the purpose of purchase orders is simply to allow a way to bring new tagged assets into the application so that we can begin tracking them. We use a purchase order to accomplish that task. If we choose to use the scanner within the purchase order, we must by default scan the tags into a room. However, if we use the import feature within the purchase order, we can import the tags directly to a room or rooms, to staff members, or to students. Now we're ready to go ahead and click on the purchasing icon and get started with the next step. In our last session, we had two scenarios. We'll start with the first. In our first scenario, we had internal funds at our site that we used to purchase a Chromebook. We created the purchase order, we added the product to it, and now we're ready to scan that particular tag to a room at the site. To do so, we'll first need to expand the purchase order by clicking. Once we click, we'll be able to see the particular product that we entered. We ordered one, received, and shipping. Now it's time to receive the tags into a particular room at our site. To do so, we'll again need to look for the expand icon and we'll click. Once we click to select, we'll see that we're ready to receive the tags. We can either scan them to a room or we can import them to a room. And when we're done, we can pull a report. In this instance, we're going to go ahead and scan the tag into a room. We'll click, which will open up the Receive by Tag window. Note the areas in red. In this instance, all these areas are required before we can complete the process. We'll start with the room, which is always required as part of the receiving process. We'll choose the room from the drop-down menu. Next, we'll select a status. If we want the tag to stay in a particular room, say it's in a lab, we would want to use in use. However, if we plan to use the tag as part of a distribution to say staff or students, we would want to keep the status as available. Next, we need to scan the tag number. Note that in this instance, the serial area is in red, which means the serial number is also required. That may not be the case with every product that you're scanning tags to. Once I scan the serial number, this particular product is complete and it says they've been received. Would we like to close this particular purchase order? And in this case, I'm going to say no because I want us to still have access to view the purchase order on our screen. Now you can see for this particular purchase order that we have now received the tag into a room at the site. If I expand this particular row, I can also go and pull the ticket. I'll click and the ticket will open up on my screen. You can see the product, the tag number, the serial, and the room we placed it in. Now I'll go ahead and close this window out. Next, we're ready to take a look at another scenario. To do so, I'm going to refresh my screen. Our second scenario in our last session was that our particular district had purchase order integration, which meant the shell of the purchase order only was brought in. I'm going to go ahead and click to expand this particular purchase order. Again, as a reminder, in our last session, we went ahead and just added the product to the purchase order along with the number of the product that was ordered. And now we're ready to receive those tags into a room. To do that, I'll need to go ahead and expand. And this time I'm going to use the Import Tags area to show you how we can use an Excel sheet to bring tags into the application. I'll go ahead and click on the icon, and it opens up the Receive by Tag Import Manager window. Now, in the Excel sheet that we'll use, we're going to need to have a room, a serial, a status, and a tag. First, I'll go ahead and browse and locate the spreadsheet on my desktop. Once I've located the spreadsheet, I'll click and open. Now the spreadsheet has loaded, and it does have headers, so I'll make sure there's a check mark in the My Table Has Headers box, and I'm ready to import. Once the spreadsheet has been imported, note my blue grid header. I'll simply need to match up what's in the blue grid header with what is in the drop-down list. So I'll choose the room, the serial, tag, and status. Now I'm ready to validate. And basically, validation makes sure there's no duplicates or errors in my spreadsheet. Now that my validation is successful, I'll go ahead and select Finish to complete the import of the tags. I get a window that says you are about to finish your import. This action cannot be undone. Are you sure you want to finish? And I do, so I'll click OK. Now, as you can see, the tags have been received into a room. Again, we'll expand so that we can take a look at the ticket. Clicking on the ticket allows us to see the tags, see the serials, and see the location we've placed them in. Also note you have an Attachments tab, and if for any reason there's paperwork you want to attach to a particular purchase order, you can click on the Add Attachment and upload, browse for that particular document and load it, as long as it's not more than 1 megabyte. Before we finish up with purchase orders, I want to show you an important tip. I'm going to click back on the Products tab and draw your attention to the status of this particular purchase, and it's now closed. The reason why is because all tags have been received. Also note, however, that the purchase order is still open. It will remain open until it's manually closed. If you want to close a particular purchase order out, you'll want to click on the Edit icon and select the status of closed from the drop-down menu. However, once you save, you'll no longer have access to reopen this particular purchase order. If you needed it opened up again, you would need to reach out to your district administrator and they could assist you in this area. I'll go ahead and save. I'll refresh my screen, and now the purchase order is not populating. If I want to see it again, I can put a check mark in the Show Closed area. This concludes our session on receiving from a purchase order. We want to thank you for watching, and remember, you have unlimited support. Please find additional materials and videos on our Support Center.